lender declined the file. That does not tell you why the file failed. It does not tell you whether the borrower is agency ineligible, and it does not tell you whether another lender can close it. Before you move the loan or bury it, you have to identify which layer actually stopped it, the guideline, the AUS findings, or the lender's overlay. That is the difference between shopping a file and diagnosing one. Before we diagnose anything, we have to keep three things separate because mixing them up is where originators lose files and lose deals they could have kept. Agency guidance is the published rules of Fannie Mae, Freddie Mac, FHA, VA, and USDA. AUS findings, DULPA, the FHA total scorecard, and USDA's GUS don't deny anything. They return a recommendation: approve, eligible, accept, refer, caution, or ineligible. VA runs through DU or LPA. That recommendation is data, not a decision. A lender or investor overlay is a restriction. A lender or investor stacks on top of the agency's minimums. A decline is not the diagnosis. Loan rescue as a service begins by identifying which layer actually stopped the file. This is loan rescue as a service, LRaaS. The work begins after AUS findings are available. Risk Sculptor helps licensed mortgage professionals identify which layer is blocking the file, organize the rescue path, and prepare the next responsible step without making an underwriting or credit decision. A decline is not automatically an agency eligibility problem. If the AUS findings show the file is agency eligible, the barrier may be a lender overlay, and a lender without that overlay may reach a different decision on the same profile. The AUS recommendation and the lender's decision are two different determinations. An approve, eligible, or accept tells you the AUS returned a favorable recommendation based on the data submitted. If the lender still declines the file, an overlay becomes one possibility, but first confirm the inputs, eligibility, documentation, and findings conditions. Say a file comes back approve eligible, but the lender still says no because of an internal rule stricter than the agency's floor. The agency layer didn't stop it, the lender's overlay did. When a lender declines a file, one possible cause is a lender overlay, a restriction stricter than the underlying agency guideline. In that situation, a lender without the same overlay may be able to approve the same file. One possible cause, not the only cause, not the usual cause. For example, a lender may establish a credit score floor or another internal restriction that is stricter than the applicable program minimum. The exact restriction must be confirmed against the current agency guidance, findings, and lender requirements. Before you assume overlay, confirm the file is actually agency eligible on the findings. Assume nothing. Here's the trap: the comment you'll hear in every originator group: just move the file, another lender will approve it. It feels true because we've all seen a replacement close, but as a rule, it's wrong, and believing it will burn you. Moving a file to another lender may resolve the problem when the original decline was caused by a lender overlay and the file is independently agency eligible. Replacement does not overcome a true guideline, documentation, income, credit, collateral, occupancy, or program eligibility problem. Replacement is a tool for overlay declines, not a cure for substantive defects. If the income doesn't support it, the collateral doesn't value, the docs don't clear, or the program doesn't fit, then moving the same file blindly may not solve the underlying problem. A different program, corrected documentation, new structure, or corrected data could change the outcome, but relocation alone does not cure a substantive defect. Because a broker can place one file with multiple wholesale investors, they may have access to an investor without a particular overlay. The agency guidelines don't change by channel. The difference is the range of overlays you can shop against. This is not brokers have looser rules. The agency guidelines are identical no matter the channel. The only thing that changes is how many overlay sets you can compare a file against. So when a file gets declined, the move isn't a reflex and grab the next one or shop it blind. The move is a read. What did the AUS actually recommend? Is the file agency eligible on the findings? If yes, you may be looking at an overlay you can place around. If the file is not presently agency eligible on the findings, blind replacement is not the diagnosis. Re-examine the data, documentation, structure, and program before deciding what the next responsible step is. A decline points you to a layer. Find out which one. Risk Sculptor operationalizes loan rescue as a service. It takes the work that begins after findings from DU, LPA, FHA total, or GUS, including VA loans evaluated through DU or LPA, and turns it into a structured blocker map rescue plan and next step workflow for the licensed MLO. Risk Sculptor is not a lender, underwriter, AUS, LOS, POS, CRM, pricing engine, or approval engine. The licensed mortgage professional remains responsible for program fit, lender overlays, borrower communication, disclosures, and submission decisions. Without naming the borrower, lender, property, or anyone involved, tell me about the last file you replaced. Was the obstacle truly an overlay or was something else driving the decision?